Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hi, my name is Luisa Espinales, and we're today going to be talking about skin cancer. We have Andrea Reyes from Columbia University Cancer Center, and she's going to be giving us some useful tips and cancer awareness information.
Hi, thank you, Luisa, for having me here today, and thank you to Hispanic
You.
Federation as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being able to provide this information to us. So, I have some questions for you. So, I know summer is here and we have some information that we want to provide to the community. So, how can we enjoy being outside while keeping our skin safe from the sun?
Well, we all know that spending time outside is really important. It's good for our bodies, it's good for our minds, it's good for our spirits. And it's important to be physically active. Being outside helps us to reduce stress. And it's the only way, actually, being in the sun is the only way that our body can produce vitamin D ourselves. Otherwise, we have to get it from an external source. So it's very important to get sun. However, we want to make sure that if we're working and playing outside and being outside, that we don't raise our risk for skin cancer, that we protect our skin from the sun.
Perfect. So, how can too much sun lead to skin cancer?
So, this is really important to know. Thank you for asking. So, most skin cancers are caused by too much exposure to sunlight. Sunlight comes in the form of ultraviolet light or rays. These ultraviolet rays or UV rays are an invisible kind of radiation that comes from the sun, but can also come from tanning beds and tanning lamps. So, it's really important for you to know if there's anyone here that is used to going to spas or to places where they go tanning to get their base tan, that it's something that's actually very damaging to skin, even more so than the sun. So when the UV rays damage skin cells, damaged cells are what can lead to skin cancer, and skin cancer is the most common type of cancer in the United States. So, you want to protect yourself from these UV rays all year, and they can penetrate your skin even on cloudy days, even in the winter. Sometimes you notice people that go skiing get sunburned because those rays reflect off the snow. When you're at the beach, they reflect off the sand, and when you're in the street, they reflect off the cement. So the UV rays are strongest, right, in the middle of the day, like around noon. So kind of starting at 10 and like ending at 4. So if you're out in the middle of the day, you definitely want to either wear clothing that protects your skin or use sunscreen. I wanted to also let you know that now that we're learning about UV rays, it's really important and it's easy to do. If you have on your phone, if you have a smartphone and you have a weather app, scroll down the day's weather and you're going to see something that says UV index. And if you don't know what that means, it means ultraviolet light index. And that tells you every day what the forecast is for that. So it'll tell you how strong the UV index is for that particular day. So if the UV index is higher than 3, you want to protect your skin.
Perfect. So, with that said, what can we do to protect our skin from the damaging rays of the sun?
Sure. So you can, you wear a hat, you wear sunglasses because you can get cancer in the skin of your eyes. You wear
Mhm.
something to protect, protective clothing. If you have the option of wearing a tank top versus, let's say, a t-shirt, you wear the t-shirt that way you just put sunscreen on this part of your arms and on your face. You don't have to do your shoulders and your back and everything else. But most importantly, you wear sunscreen.
Okay. So, how can we know what sunscreen to buy? What would be the best one that we should get for our face, our body?
Right. Well, as you know, when you go to the pharmacy or the supermarket, there's tons of sunscreens out there, right?
Mhm.
You want to make sure. I mean, they're all pretty decent. You want to make sure that it says that it protects you. It says broad spectrum, which means that it protects you against the UVA rays and UVB rays. You want to make sure that it is SPF 30 and up. So I know some people like to get tans and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy an SPF 4. That really doesn't do much for you. But if you buy 30 or higher, you're still going to get some tan, but you're not going to burn. When you wear the sunscreen, you want to make sure that you put it on all skin that's exposed. And if you're having trouble, like you can't reach your back or something, and if there's someone to help you, then definitely get someone to help you. And also, and if not, then you put on an overshirt or you wear a big hat or something like that to protect you. The sunscreen, make sure, like if you have sunscreen at home, these things actually really do expire. So you want to make sure that it has not yet expired and it's not old. And when you put it on, it doesn't go on chunky because it means that it's kind of like curdled. And then if you're sweating, or if you're like at a pool or beach and you towel off, you're actually taking the sunscreen off when you towel off or you sweat it off. So you want to make sure that you replace it. You reapply every 90 minutes. There's two more things I'd like. I know I'm talking a lot, but it's really important for you to get this info. There's two other things. There's regular sunscreen, and then there's a mineral-based one. I would say for little kids, the mineral-based one is better because it actually serves as a barrier. Regular sunscreen you put on, and you should really actually wait till another 15 minutes before you're in the sun so that it can get into your skin and start activating. You can put it on and just go immediately out to the sun, and it's not going to work right away. So for kids, mineral ones, you can get unscented. That's always best. You can get ones that say natural. You can get ones that say for sensitive skin because they will have less chemicals. And I always will tell you, buy the products with the least amount of chemicals possible. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Can you tell us a little more about skin cancer?
Sure. I have some slides I want to share. Can you pull up there we go. That's excellent. So I'm going to tell you about skin cancer. So skin cancer happens when cells become damaged. These damaged cells start to reproduce out of control and can form tumors. That's really what cancer is, cells that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Skin cancer, there's three, the most common types are, and I'm going to give you the names because they're here on the screen. There's squamous cell carcinoma, basal cell carcinoma, and melanoma. As you can see in this kind of cut cross section of the skin, the melanoma reaches deeper into the layers of the skin. Melanoma can reach into your bones, and by then it has spread almost beyond repair. But you'll almost always see something on the top of the skin, right? It'll look like a mole. And I'm going to show you several pictures so that you can start to recognize moles that are normal and ones that aren't. Okay, so next slide, please. So this is what squamous cell cancer can present like, right? So it can look like a peely, itchy, scabby, scratchy callus. And here I've shown different skin colors, right? So that you can see how it presents in people of different skin tones. But if you look on the picture of the nose, it's not really scaly or scabby on that one, but it's a spot that has appeared that's growing and it looks different. So I will, and I'll say this again at the end of the presentation, if you have a spot on your skin that looks different, that you're wondering about, literally, if you get a dermatologist, and if you can't, just at your next doctor's appointment, say, hey, look, doctor, what is this? That doctor will let you know as well, or can refer you or help you get a dermatologist. But it's really important if you see things changing in your skin, or if you have any questions, to go get it checked. Okay,
So
next. Yes.
So I do have a question about
Yeah.
that. How can we check ourselves for skin cancer if possible?
Oh, I will tell you all about that in a minute. Let me get through the next
Perfect.
answers. Okay, so
Perfect.
let's go to the next slide. Okay, so, and this is basal cell skin cancer. I mean, if you see some of the pictures, it's got color. In some of the pictures, it doesn't. It just looks like a clear mole. Sometimes it has an indentation. Sometimes it'll scab and bleed a lot. So, you want to go once a year to your doctor and get any bumps, especially on sun-exposed areas of your body, just checked out. Say, tell me that this is normal. I want to show me that, and show the dot, and be familiar with and aware of any things that are different on your skin. So if they start to change, peel, scab, crust, if they get color, if they lose color, you'll know to go immediately to the doctor, because this is a skin cancer is super common. It's the most common cancer in the US, but it's also super preventable if we catch things early enough. We don't want to ignore things that are growing on our skin. Okay, next slide. I wanted to show you this. This is melanoma. It's the most dangerous type of cancer. skin cancer, you might need chemotherapy and extensive treatment should someone be diagnosed. And I wanted to show you its features. You can see in the first image, it's kind of like a lumpy mole with like a blister in the middle. On the second image, it's not a bump at all, but it's super dark and it's in the skin and it's irregular. Like it's not a circle like a mole or a beauty mark. It's
Mm-hmm.
got parts to it. And in the third picture, that's somebody's foot. It's not bumpy on the outside, but you can see it right under the layer of the skin. So these are three different ways that melanoma can present. So any spots in like your palms or in your heels that you might like, oh, I've had this birthmark all my life. You want to get it checked out because it might be a legitimate birthmark like in your heel, but these cells change with age and with lifestyle, and you want to make sure that what you've had all your life isn't going to turn into something that can be dangerous for your life. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is how melanoma shows under people's nails. Um, this guy did not hit himself with a hammer or bang his fingers or anything like that. This is melanoma. And then the next slide shows you a normal mole versus skin cancer, right? So a normal mole is going to be a circle. It's going to be, maybe it's lifted, you can feel it, but an abnormal spot on the skin is going to have irregular borders. It's going to have different colors migrating all to one side. See, the next two pictures have pigment much darker in one area than the other. So those are all things that you want to examine your body for, not to get scared, but just to say, you know what, look, I've identified 3 or 4 things. Let me just show this to the doctor, or let me make a dermatology appointment. Okay, next slide. And kind of the next natural question is like, well, what are the things to look for, right? So I already said asymmetry. These are just words that the doctors use. They're going to look, it's not totally round, right? It's different on both sides. There's more color on one than the other. So these are the A, B, C, D, and E of melanoma to look for what we call suspicious spots, right? So on the second one, the borders are irregular. It's not a round mole, right? The third one, color is changing. So it's really dark and then the edges are kind of pink or red. The fourth one is diameter. If it's bigger than a 1/2 inch, usually it's of a concern. And then elevation, right? It's above your skin. You can feel it. And evolution, it's changing. So these are the things to look for when you're looking at your spots. And if you've got anything that looks like this, absolutely make sure that you go to your doctor's office. Okay, let's see what else we got.
Perfect. So I have a question for you.
Yep.
What are some of the warning signs of skin cancer?
Yeah. So let me get back to that. Hold on. So, right. So a new growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got growth under a skin or nail, a spot, bump, or mole that's changing, growing, colors moving, a sore that's scrapey, scabby, that doesn't heal within 3 months. I'd like to tell you about examining yourself, right? Because dermatologists will ask you to do that, and you want to become really familiar with how to do that. So all you need is a mirror, preferably preferably a big one, and then maybe a hand one. And you can start with examining your face, then looking at your hands, right? Because they're very sun exposed. Your face and your hands are number one, and right here on your neck. Look between your fingers, look between your toes, look under your arms as well as on top. If you can't see your back and you don't have a mirror, if you have someone that you trust that can examine your back, luckily now with phones, if you can't see something, someone can take, oh, you have something on your shoulder, you can't see it. Let me take a picture so you can look at it. And just examining from head to toe, including your feet, including in between your toes and under your feet. And making a note or writing it down. Is there anything that maybe I should show a doctor, right? And don't be afraid to do that. That's really important. I just wanted to make sure that I added that in.
So, should we see a dermatologist if we have a warning or worry about our skin? Any?
Absolutely. You know what? It could save your life, right? And for the people watching this, don't just think of yourselves. Think about, depending, like, who do you live with? Like, look at your, especially older people, look at your parents, look at your grandparents, check them out. A lot of us have grown up in countries in the sun, and no one put sunscreen on us when we were little. And a
Mhm.
lot of the damage occurs when you're young, right? You don't see it
Correct.
when you're young, but then you turn 50 and 60 and you got all these sunspots, and you might have that one sunspot that you think is fine, but then the little edges is starting to darken. The doctors might say, look, these are kind of precancerous, let's just scoop it out. It's painless. You can avoid cancer by going to the dermatologist, and if they see anything, they just scrape it off your skin. If it's something that's starting of concern or starting to change, if it's more serious, then we'll let you know, because sometimes these moles, as you saw in the first melanoma picture, they can grow deep into the layers of the skin, and sometimes just kind of scraping it off isn't good enough. So absolutely see a dermatologist. I have slide number 18. Since I work at Columbia, we do have a phone number that you can call and an address. 161 Fort Washington Avenue is on 165th Street in Fort Washington, which is right west of Broadway, between Broadway and Riverside. And you can always call and let the secretaries know what the issue is and what you're looking for, and they can help you out. And they speak Spanish as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much today for providing us this information. I think that it's very important that everyone knows the importance of putting on sunscreen, of checking their skin, checking their body, making sure that they reach out to a doctor, a provider, if they have some concerns and some worries, as you stated today. Is there any other useful information that you would think we should know of today before we end this session?
Just to keep aware that summer's coming, we might spend more time outside. It doesn't take a lot to put a few drops of sunscreen on your face and on your arms and whatever else might be exposed. Um, and to be aware to take care of our families as well. Like, if we have kids, don't send them to camp or to out to play, or take them out without getting sunscreen on their skin, because as I said before, the damage that you don't even see that happens in childhood can affect them when they're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, much later on. Freckles that come out during the sun are skin damage, actually. We like to think, oh, they're cute, oh, I get freckles in the sun, but that's skin damage from the sun. So you want to make sure that you protect your family as well as yourself. But thank you, Luisa, and thank you again to Hispanic Federation. It's always a pleasure to be here and to speak with you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And until next time, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.